In this video, you're going to find out everything that I use to enhance, maintain, and even restore variegation in reverted plants. I'll also feature my favorite plant tool that helps me cut my plant chores time in half. And finally, peep my new potting station with lots more to come. Hey guys, welcome to another Plant Chores video. In this one, I'm going to reveal what's in my feed water that helps to enhance, even restore and maintain variegation in my plants. And that's probably as intense as it's going to get today. I personally like to watch Plant Chores videos when I want to get a nap in during the day or just to help me go to bed at night. If you manage to stay awake through this one, then I'm sure you're going to find some useful information along the way. If not, at least you know you're going to get a good snooze. I'm going to start by taking you one step back. I mix my feed water in this 1 gallon tank, and you'll see why just now. It contains a TPS silica gold as well as TPS1 fertilizer. To prevent nutrient lockout, it's best to add the TPS silica gold first to your feed water and then all the other supplements after. Currently, I'm not feeding my plants full strength because they're all still in recovery mode since I moved and now since I've added them to the greenhouse, meaning they're still adjusting to the environment. It might sound contradictory, but my soil mix is actually very nutrient dense. So this feed is just to top up what they've already used. And once they've started back actively growing, I will start feeding full strength again. I use this solution as a drench as well as a foliar feed. As promised, I use this 1 gallon tank to mix my feed water in, not only because the instructions is given per gallon, but because of this convenient pouring spout that's easy for me to fill my watering can after mixing. If you've watched my greenhouse videos, you're probably wondering why am I still using this tiny watering can to feed my large collection? And it's because I'm still studying the watering requirements of each since we've moved and since I've placed them in the greenhouse for the first time. I'm monitoring how the humidity is helping me actually to keep the substrates moist. So by individually watering, I get to better understand the needs of each plant so that when I put in the irrigation system, I'll know how to zone the greenhouse. You'll notice that I'm only drenching my variegated plants, and that's because I've noticed that silica gold does not do well for alocasias as well as anthuriums. It causes, in both cases, haloing or yellowing of the leaves. They really have responded poorly to it, so I primarily use silica gold for my variegated plants. For reverted plants, like my Syngonium chia pens that's on screen right now, I also apply this drench, including the silica gold, because in my experience, I find it helps to restore variegation. Besides restoring variegation, I find it enhances variegation as well as maintain it over time, so I get less browning of leaves. My biggest issue with plant chores in general is consistency. So what I've noticed is when I miss my feeds, my plants suffer. It sounds like, that's the obvious, but life happens and I just consistency evades me. So especially with my variegated plants, when I miss the silica application, I always regret it. And now that things have settled down with the move, I'm hoping that, consistency will become, the highest priority for me just to get my plants back up and running, especially as they're in a stressful situation having to acclimate and, just adjust time and time again because I am moving them to different positions to really find out where's the ideal spot for them. So consistency really is key now for me to get them all back up to good health. Next, we're going to foliar feed using my absolute favorite or must have or plant essential, whatever you want to call it. This is my number one tool in this plant hobby. It's my rechargeable hose. It has multiple spraying heads. It does not choke. It doesn't matter what solution I've put in here. Now, I treat using neem oil, which is very thick or viscous, and it does not choke. It's just the best thing in terms of watering, foliar feeding, spraying for pests, whatever you want to use this for. Well, whatever you use your hose for, this is the perfect on the go replacement for hard to reach spots that your hose may not reach or for indoor use. It's just the best, and I can't recommend this enough. Everything that you see in this video, anyway, will be linked below once I could find a link for it. If I do forget, though, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to share any information with you all that I can. So I'm going to make a second take and foliar feed now. Just to add some further clarity to this foliar feed that contains the silica, you're probably wondering, well, when you're spraying, obviously some of it is going to diffuse into the air and get onto other plants or surrounding plants. So what I've noticed is only when I drench my alocasias and anthuriums, that's when they halo or get yellowing leaves. If accidentally or if, naturally it just kind of gets on the leaves while I'm foliar feeding, that hasn't caused any problems, but I will definitely be intentional with my spray and don't really direct it as best as I could. However, I haven't seen any like negative effects if the foliar feed got onto them, but it's not something that I practice at all. That is foliar feeding my alocasias and anthurium. I do not do that. I stick to just my variegated plants. But let me show you something absolutely crazy. Up on the screen is my philodendron soderoy. Simultaneously, you're seeing me spraying my calathea as well with this same silica drench. In the past, with respect to the calathea, I find it helps to prevent browning tips. So, oversensitive plants that I find browning just naturally happens over time because of inconsistency with watering or inconsistency in any form or fashion. I use the silica to help buffer the plant in the event that I feel. But what was crazy to me is that for philodendrons, when I was testing out the use of silica to find out if I could use it just across the board, it caused spot variegation to occur in my phyllos. At first, it was exciting, but eventually the leaves that grew after were all deformed or mal shaped. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of these leaves because I just cut them off without thinking. But in a nutshell, with respect to my plowmanii specifically, instead of it taking on a true heart shape, it became oblong or oval in shape with spot variegation. That wasn't appealing to me, so I refrained from it, but I would love to know if anyone else has experienced this. Please comment below and let's get into it. Moving right along now to just general feeding. This drench is just a combination of water and my TPS1, a diluted solution, and I'm going to just feed my anthuriums and all my other plants that require watering at this time. Once I was done with that, I decided to get a pool extension done on my Plesimum silver. This is a epipremnum, and it is long overdue for a pool extension. Also called silver streak pothos. This one grows on a cococoya pole and is happy doing so. So I didn't opt for the more expensive route, which is a sphagnum moss pole. I'm just going to extend with an additional cococoya pole. It also has aerial roots growing already, so I'm going to have to take extra caution to not break that off. So I'm just going to pull out one of my stakes from twigs just to prop the overgrown bit so it doesn't snap off and to give me a little more wiggle room for when I was attaching the extension. So I've already attached it, and once my poles get to about 4 feet, I add additional support by inserting a stake to the back and then fastening the pole to the stake for more security. I use Velcro strips to secure both. I love using them because they're reusable and easy to reattach and detach. I also move the stake a little closer to the pole to make it more upright and wedge the rock in there for more stability. So it stays a little more upright. It's still bent, but it's fine for me. So I'm hoping this will continue to grow bushy and tall and eventually move into the house as decor. For now, it's going to go back into the greenhouse to continue growing for me. And finally, I want to show you all how I've been using my unfinished potting station. In the meanwhile, it's been great storage. I love having this clear surface, and to the right is actually a pipe. So we're going to unpack these soil amendments and soil and some extra pots, basically supplies into the potting station so you can get an idea of how I've been using it. I got everything from Utopia, and I'll be sure to link the information in the description. I got this copper fungicide from Home and Garden Creations Limited. So I'm just going to show you all how I have everything organized currently. I piled everything onto the working bench, and I don't store, well, the majority of things I don't store in the original packaging. I usually use clear bins so that I can have ease of access on repotting days, and I like to make amendments to my soil mix. I don't just use it as is. And here's a quick update actually, because the humidity is so high in my new home, like it's always 70 to 90% on really hot day, it could probably dip to as low as 40. But because the humidity has been so high, I've been amending my soil a lot more to allow for freer drainage. But anyway, that'll come, more information on that will come in the next greenhouse video. But for now, all my products or soil amendments, I store in clear bins. And those tie straps that I just pulled out, I'm just going to pop into these. I got these containers from PriceSmart. So for the items that I don't reach for as frequently, I store those to the back, and the ones to the front are the ones I reach for almost daily or for on repotting days. But overall, the ones that I reach for the most are to the front. These containers, they fit 2 packs of Utopia's moss in there pretty easily. I got the container itself from Excellent Stores for about $42. And I believe Fair and Square also stocks the size. I don't know where else has it. um, my gut is leaning towards Fair and Square being cheaper, but I've had these so long, I really can't remember. I'll just link both of them in the description for y'all. But yeah, so all of these in clear bins so I could see what's in there easily, and these are stored to the front like that. So a great thing about this is that I could stack multiple containers on top of each other in here, so I really have a nice compact organized space. My largest bin is this one, and I use it to contain my general aroid mix. I do amend it now in this space because of the higher humidity, like I explained before. And the mix contains half bag of perlite. I also get the perlite from Utopia, so I use half a bag of this perlite. So I just dump that into the bin. It's so easy to mix into a bin this size that's also this deep. So, I don't really have much mess at the end of it. So half bag goes into my general aroid mix, and the other half goes into storage into one of these smaller containers. Again, I don't like perlite flying all over, and just, it's difficult to contain in the plastic bag, especially if I made an opening. So having the half bag stored in this container makes it easy for storing for me. You may have noticed that I do not pre-moisten my sphagnum moss or perlite because I have it stored in this clear container. Sunlight frequently hits it, and that causes mold to grow into the containers, so I avoid pre-moistening it. These containers also come in super handy if I want to repot inside, because I do have plants growing in my master bedroom, so I can just grab these containers by the handle and take them upstairs. It's very light to carry, so I could dump some of my ready mix into a smaller container and head up with it. Or if I just needed to make a simple amendment like top off plants with moss, or just make any sort of amendment, I could just grab the container I need and head upstairs instead of having to bring all the plants down. So, it's just very convenient for me to store like that. The quantity of soil and perlite that you're seeing here will usually last me about a month. The perlite longer, but these 2 bags of soil is like my monthly top up. So at this point, one bag fits nicely into this container with the room for me to add any amendments. I find adding the soil on top of the perlite as opposed to vice versa prevents a lot of that perlite dust from being inhaled. And I'm just looking for additional amendments here, which is my orchid bark. I usually use the medium grade size, but they didn't have that in stock, so I took the fine grade and I just eyeball this. At this point, I'm still trying to figure out what is the best mix or best combination of amendments for my plants. It is a new environment, so I'm really, at this point experimenting a lot to try and figure out what my plants preferences are. As usual, I'll keep you guys posted on what works and what didn't work, so that you can learn from my mistakes. And hopefully, if y'all have any tips, you can drop it in the comments to me. I appreciate all your advice. I respond to all of your comments. I look forward to the comments, to be honest. So that's it for plant chores today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Feel free to message me anywhere with any questions. If you're still here, please consider giving the video a like so other plant parents can see it, and don't forget to subscribe to get all my updates.